We're going live now. We're live. Oh man, I love having these two people on all of the time when we have these live streams. Welcome to another live stream edition. We are going to be talking Canvas specifically today on shareability versus data collection, and you're getting a twofer, what we call a twofer out there, with not only the ID team but also strategic services. I am so excited to be joined by Carissa and Kimberly. Carissa, obviously, on the strategic services team, Kimberly on the ID team, and they have a wonderful presentation, all things considerations for non-classroom Canvas courses. So if you run a Canvas course, stop me if I'm talking out of turn here, but if you run a Canvas course for professional development, for a club, something that isn't necessarily a course that you would be running with grades and those types of things, this is the session for you. And if you're in here and you're like, oh, this really isn't the session for me, share it to those folks that you think it'll be beneficial for, right? We're obviously live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, LinkedIn, all of those things, but there's going to be a ton of information in here for you from both two fantastic learning service people, Carissa and Kimberly. Thank you guys so much for joining us today.
Absolutely. Thank you, Eddie. Thanks for that warm welcome. And yes, absolutely. This presentation is meant for anyone involved in course development, from designers and facilitators to program coordinators, administrators, everyone in between. Like Eddie said, my name is Carissa Duran. I am a principal learning consultant here at Instructure. I've been in education for about 10 years, and I am really excited to be here and talk with you all. And I'm here with my pal, Kimberly. Kimberly.
Hey, I'm Kimberly, and I get the pleasure to work with Carissa every day. We have the same client. I've been at Instructure a year and a half, in education 15 plus years. You can see some deets on your screen about me, but we'll get right here into the presentation.
Right. Thanks, Kimberly. So I want to start off by saying that truly, Kimberly and I, we sort of struggled to choose a phrase that captured all of what we meant by this collection of courses that we're going to talk about today. We're calling them non-classroom Canvas courses. And that's because a classroom course for us is a course that would traditionally be part of a regular classroom course of study, right? And so a non-classroom course then is anything outside of that. It is an innovative use of Canvas courses, something for professional development, perhaps, for community engagement with your families, something for student groups, like Eddie mentioned, maybe clubs or other groups. It might be a public information course. It might be an institutional resource course that you are designing. So whereas a classroom course is really intended for a classroom audience, like students, traditionally students, a non-classroom Canvas course is going to have a broader audience base, a broader set of stakeholders that you're looking to engage. Maybe students still, but maybe also their families, maybe educators, maybe administrators, maybe the community at broad in your region. So in just a moment, we're going to review several of these different types of non-classroom Canvas courses. We're going to share some examples, some screenshots, and subcategories, if you will, of these different non-classroom Canvas courses. The first one that we want to look at are conference courses. Chances are that at some point in 2021, 2020, you've probably attended a virtual conference. This particular screenshot that you're seeing here, this Leaders in Life conference, is a virtual conference that was actually designed and run by students for students. The Leaders in Life program is supported by the Kern County Superintendent of Schools. And what they found in March of 2020 was that they couldn't hold their traditional in-person conference that they had been holding for literally decades. And so in 2021, they wanted to make sure that they were able to host a conference, and they decided to leverage Canvas. Knowing that across the region, students had familiarity with and access to Canvas, they went ahead and they built a conference within Canvas. And in this case, we're able to host it synchronously live with their students all across the region. But in general, a conference course is one that an institution might use as sort of a conference website. They might build it in collaboration with Zoom or another conferencing platform in order to offer live sessions. And it's really something that can be used as a substitute for your traditional conference hosting software.
The next non-classroom type course that we have are professional learning courses. So in my role as an instructional designer, this is the type of course that I create more than anything. This is a great way to support your in-person learning with colleagues or have a completely online learning experience. And the length can vary. So I've created courses as small as one module meant to cover a 90-minute professional learning experience, up to courses that have stretched over the span of a year where teachers would complete a module per month. So this is a screenshot that you see on your screen of a homepage that was a professional learning experience designed by our client, Kern County Superintendent of Schools. And it had this fun hiking theme, just a good example of a professional learning experience that had a rock solid design, I think.
Awesome. Yeah, I love that design, everyone. That's my favorite course I've ever seen. So this next subcategory of non-classroom Canvas courses are resource courses. And that term, of course, is generally self-explanatory, but I'm going to go ahead and explain it anyways. This particular homepage is actually from a resource course for the California Canvas Collaborative, which is a statewide network for Canvas using teachers, schools, districts, and counties all across the state of California. It's led by the Kern County Superintendent of Schools in collaboration with county offices all across the state. And we actually use this resource course, like resource courses are generally used, to be a repository for our group, for our community of practice. This is a space where folks can share resources, access resources, they can network, they can interact with assignments and discussion boards, and they can also just get information, right? So it's both informational and it has interactions. And just, shameless plug, if you're in California and you're interested in joining the California Canvas Collaborative, we have the bit.ly on the screen there. It's bit.ly/California Canvas. It is case sensitive, but we would love for you to join us.
And like Carissa said, in the last 2 years, we've seen these in-person events moving into that virtual space. So these are two other examples outside of conferences. I'm stumbling on my words this morning. Showcase courses like a cultural arts showcase, a college night. These are built 100% in Canvas and meant to serve in place of like a website or a web page for an event when that in-person experience is not possible. And then Carissa, you want to talk about informational courses?
Absolutely. So informational courses, I'm glad that I get to talk about informational courses because I just talked to you about resource courses and how they're both informational and they're interactive. An informational course is generally the same as a resource course, but with more of just a unidirectional dissemination of information, right? It's not bi-directional. You're not doing a lot of interactive stuff. And it's going to operate quite a bit more just like a web page or a website, right? It's something where folks can get information, but you're not necessarily building in those collaborative or interactive features.
And another example might be a Principals Corner course. What you see on your screen is just a mock-up of a course. It wasn't a real course that I've created. But these Principal Corner courses can combine different elements of what we've talked about. So it may function like a website or a blog where you have one-way information, or you may invite teachers and students, families, communities to come and interact in that course.
So this last category or subcategory of non-classroom Canvas courses is perhaps my favorite. These are student group courses, and what these courses are used for is to really put students in the driver's seat, to just create on-ramps for greater access for students to participate in school activities or in clubs, ASB, things of that nature. The screenshot that you're actually seeing here on this slide was a Canvas course that was built by the ASB team at Fountain Valley High School in Huntington Beach School District. This was actually designed by students. So they were literally in there as designers, as teachers, and they were building this course with faculty oversight. But they used it to fill gaps in access that they noticed in their school community. Traditionally, ASBs will, Associated Student Body, right, student government, will use social media, assuming that students like social media and will use it. But in this case, they noticed that they weren't getting a lot of engagement, and they realized that not all students used social media or use the same social media platforms, but they knew that all students used Canvas because it was required in their school. And so they went ahead and they built a Canvas course for that. And it continues to this day to just increase engagement and community across their school, even during face-to-face instruction. So just several examples here that are really awesome of the reasons why we want to talk about non-classroom Canvas courses. In fact, on our next slide,
I have to give a shout out first, Carissa, to this.
Oh yeah, do it.
This link at the bottom. When you click on the slide deck, be sure to click on this link and you can watch all about the showcase. Carissa gives an awesome interview with the student and how she went about this whole project. It's super cool. So watch that.
Thank you, Kimberly. It is a super awesome interview. Tara Lamb is just a rock star. And speaking of links, Kimberly, thank you for reminding me. We're actually going to make sure that you have the link to this slide deck available to you. It'll be in the comments there because we want to make sure that you're able to return to this and take a look at everything that we're sharing. There is a lot of information. And as you can tell, at least with my pace, I go pretty quick. So we want to make sure that you have access to that slide deck. All right. So when and why do we need to even consider the balance between shareability and data collection? So while all of these courses provide clear use cases for innovative uses of Canvas for non-classroom Canvas courses, the uniqueness of each use case, I think also presents its own set of needs and challenges as it relates to course development. While it's clear that the intended audience might drive the decisions that you make in course design in order to easily share to or reach that audience, there are also some limiting factors when we consider the need for access alongside the need for data. So when we talk about data, we're talking about the collection of maybe participation data or interaction data or other data that we might need for accountability purposes as educational institutions, or we might need data just to be able to collect information on how folks are using our courses so that we can iterate on our design in next year, next month, and so forth.
So we encourage you first to consider three things. The first thing is, what data do you want to be able to collect for your course? Does the course need to be public? And how will it be shared and accessed? And these decisions are going to impact your course creation and your design to make sure that you have access to that data that you want. So we're going to explore a few topics and look deeper at the design and data considerations. So when we're thinking about data and design considerations, you want to get your whole team involved. The team is going to be responsible for being intentional in balancing the need for sharing the access and collecting the data and analytics. So your team might be your instructional coaches, your teachers, administrators, possibly even your IT or your legal team if privacy should be considered. And so we're going to first talk about Canvas Studio. Carissa's going to talk a little bit about the data, and then I'll kind of jump in and show a Canvas course in the design aspect.
Yes. I love, Kimberly, that you kind of touched on just now, the way that we're kind of splitting up this presentation. It's actually a really great, lesson for us all to take away as we're thinking about this. Kimberly and I, we work together, right? We work on the same team, sometimes on the same courses, but our collaboration is really largely systemic, right? How are we making sure that the way that we're designing courses, whether we're designing them together, is going to work for the needs of our client, in this case, Kern County Superintendent of Schools. But what we found that the lessons that we've taken from it really cover topics beyond just the course design aesthetics and really goes into quite a bit more spaces, right? So what we were first talking about was engagement. When we are building non-classroom Canvas courses, a lot of them, conferences, student groups, and resource courses, they involve engagement. We want to make sure that we're showing some information to folks. And one way that we like to show information to folks is through Canvas Studio, because video is an engaging feature of Canvas courses, right? It's just an engaging feature in general in education. And what we discovered was that as it relates to Canvas Studio, there are some settings that might provide greater access, but they might limit data collection. For example, on this chart, you'll see that when your course is set to public and it has no enrollments, it does have enrollments, you're actually able to share your Canvas Studio videos to folks through the LTI. And when you do that, you get information. You get studio analytics back. I think what we call them, insights, right? Studio insights. But when you don't do that, when you don't use enrollments, and when you don't share through the LTI, when you share it publicly, you actually don't get that data. What you do get is greater access, right? You don't have to have people enroll in a course. You can set it up like a website, but there's a balance, and you have to decide for yourself, what is the intended outcome of this course? Do I want to know how many people are accessing these videos? And so just something to keep in mind as you're embedding your videos.
So let's talk about the way that you can embed studio videos into your course. This is going to play a big part in the data that you want to receive, like Carissa stated. So the first option is to use the LTI. And the LTI just really means an external tool or a plugin. So you may have seen this little plugin icon in your rich content editor. That means you're using the LTI. Or if you see this word external tool, that means you're using the LTI. So I'm going to jump out to this Canvas course, to this module, and show you what I mean, just so you can have a little demo. I'll go on to this page and click edit, and just quickly show you, if I wanted to put a studio video here on this page, I can click the apps button, this little plugin icon, go to studio, and I have a sample video here that I made late last night. I'll click on it. I have some options here that I can select or deselect. If this were a video quiz, I could select the video and then embed it right here on this page. Now, like Carissa said, there are some limitations to using the LTI, meaning if I wanted to share this page on Commons, it's going to break when let's say if it goes to someone else's instance, this video would not work. So that was on the slide that you saw previously in that pretty little table that Carissa had there. So you'll want to read those types of limitations and your best ways to use studio videos. So if I save this video here on this page, it looks great. It's going to work for my students or my users. I would be able to collect data from this method and see those insights. Here's my
class.
late night video. So when we go here to modules, let me go back to the slide deck and show you this method with the submission type. That would be on something like an assignment. So let me show you here. If we go to edit, here for submission type, external tool, click find, select studio, and then click the studio video from this area. Select the settings that I want and embed it this way. So both of these methods that I just showed are the LTI version, or the first option here that you see. The second option would be to go to your studio library. You can click these three dots here and go to share media. And let me refresh my screen. I'll just go from this area to studio. Click the three dots, share media, and you can create right here under the links tab, a public link. Now here you can copy the link and put it on your page, or copy this embed code. So I'm going to select this embed code and copy it. And then I'll go back to my course. And let me show you this method here. So let me take this video out. So I'm ready to put in the embed. Notice this time I'm not going to click the plugin icon here, the apps. I'm going to go here to the little cloud icon, which is the embed option, and then paste it in this way. Okay, so this is the second option with the public link. So when you look back at the previous slide, you'll know this is the public embedding option, and this would be the LTI option. Hopefully that makes sense. Y'all send comments or questions in the chat if you have any, and we'll try to answer them.
Can I just say that I love this so much that I get to just like throw information at you really quick. And then you get the amazing Kimberly to really calmly and purposefully show you just how to do it. She's so wonderful. I love it. That's my comment, Kimberly.
Oh, gosh.
All right. So the next topic is new analytics. So just like Canvas Studio is a Canvas specific feature, so are new analytics. And when new analytics are enabled by your Canvas administrator, they're going to exist at the course level to capture that course level data. It captures data like page views for pages in published modules. It captures information like participation data. Caveat though, right? It only captures that data when folks are enrolled in the course. So it can capture participation data so that you can see if people are really interacting in your course or not. But they're going to need to enroll them. And so you're going to have to design your course in a way that you're balancing those two things. Do I want to have really robust new analytics available to me at the end of this course? If I do, then I'm going to need to enroll folks into the course to get that new analytics data. And so that's just something for us to think about. One quick note on that, what's not captured, pages not listed in published modules is something that we learned, through trial and error.
Yeah.
If you're hoping to collect page data, and even if you do enroll folks in your course, if you don't list a page in your module, you have a little bit of trouble. You're not actually getting that data available to you at the end of your course. So just some things to keep in mind as you're developing.
Okay, so I'm going to walk you through this. So you see a screenshot here of a module, and let me just go out to this live. So here under the modules button, I have a demo module, and notice how I have presentation right here, a presentation called The Wonderful World in Water. Okay, so by this page being in the module area, we will be able to see data for this in new analytics. But let's say that I designed it in a way where I didn't have this in the module. Sometimes people, will design a course where they might link it on the page instead. So, here on this overview page, what if I said, take a look at the presentation. Actually, I did down here. Review the presentation, The Wonderful World in Water, and I linked it here to that page or that presentation, just like this. Well, this might look nice. It might work well for the students to be able to get to it, but I'm not going to get the analytics, the new analytics at this point in time for that page. I would need to make sure that it's published and in the module. This is really important when you have conferences, because a lot of times you'll build out a schedule page for the conference, and you might have a bunch of breakout sessions which link to pages that kind of live in the background of your course. So keep that in mind.
Yeah, I love that. And that one actually is also relevant to classroom-based Canvas courses as well. But definitely with the increase in conference courses, something that we want to keep our eye on. Thanks, Kimberly. So the next one that we're looking at is to enroll or not enroll participants. That is the question. I feel like I should have like a skull here, like Shakespeare. So non-classroom Canvas courses, just like any Canvas course, has course level visibility settings, right? That can be set to course, institution, or public. to allow varying degrees of access. So when you're thinking about to who do I want to engage in this course? If your answer is everyone, I want it to be open to the public, like the showcase courses that Kimberly was talking about earlier, I might decide to set my course visibility to public, to allow everybody to access it, or institutional, to allow everyone at my school or district to access it. But when it's set to public or institution, participants with the link can view the course. And that might lead me to say, well, then I don't need to enroll them. But if you reflect back on some of the things we've talked about already, when you don't enroll them, you're going to forgo a lot of access to data. You're not going to get really robust new analytics data. You're not going to get Studio Insights data or anything like that. So enrollments, they can be managed by your institution or by the participants themselves in some cases, or by administrators at your site. And it's just something that you want to think about whether or not you want to pursue enrolling folks into the course if you want to balance data collection with shareability, right?
Yeah, awesome, Carissa. So I'm just going to show you where this setting exists at the course level. So here back at this same course, I'll click the settings button at the bottom, and I'll scroll all the way to the bottom, and here's where you see your visibility settings. So by default, it's going to be set to course, and then you can change institution or public. If I changed it to public and went ahead and saved this, the course URL I could send to all of you, and you would be able to access that course because it's public. Anyone with the URL would be able to get to it. Okay. Closing thoughts.
Yeah, we have some of those, friends. So they're all on the slide here, but it's just some closing thoughts as we reflect back on all of the different types of non-classroom Canvas courses that we have, as well as some of the limitations in data collection when we focus more on the shareability aspect of course design. One thing we want to encourage you to do is really consider all members of the team that are working collaboratively to develop your non-classroom Canvas course. I don't think, Kimberly, maybe you'll agree, I don't think that we would have learned all of this and come to this conclusion if we weren't working across our teams, right? We work most of the time on completely separate projects, but because we are collaborators, because we're partners, teammates, because we are recognizing the value that each of us are bringing to this institution, we're able to have conversations about why things are turning out certain ways, talking about problems of practice. And we were able to uncover some of these now suggestions, which were previously problems, right? And so just something to keep in mind as you're developing within your own institution. Who can you involve in those conversations on course development, from the course designers themselves to your administrators, even participants, past participants, in order to make sure that you're making the right decisions. We want to, yeah.
I agree with that. And, you know, a lot of design is looking at what's been designed and coming back to it, right? Think about what worked, what didn't work, what can we do differently? So, excellent closing thoughts. Here are the resources in the slide deck. We've created a one-pager for you so you can print this out, share it with folks, whatever you'd like to do. And then there's also a similar blog post out there in the community posted by Carissa. Go give it a like. The like button's kind of tricky. You can't click right here. So you have to go all the way to the bottom down here and give it some kudos. But down here at the bottom of the blog, you see these resources. So if you're not familiar with Studio or new analytics and these things that we've talked about, you have some guides here at your fingertips to learn more.
Sorry, Kimberly, my computer just interrupted you. I apologize. We're all friends here. It's fine.
What is happening over there? Chris's got voices coming from her computer. Yes, Nicole, what a great testimony to teamwork. Absolutely. You and Kim, this whole session was just, the comments coming through, people just absolutely loved them. You know, our friend Don Lorsey, our good friend Don, obviously, as you guys know, Shakespeare.
Oh, yeah, we know Don and Nicole, awesome people.
He's so great. But we just appreciate everything that you had. And I will wait for some questions to come through here on the chat, but I'm just always thrilled when we have people from our learning services department join us on the live stream, because it is always, as Tina says, a great session. See how I did that? Just a fantastic presentation by both of you. Thank you for the work that you're putting into this. I know, as someone who used Canvas in very non-traditional ways at not only a career center, but with their teachers, this is just all so pertinent. So really appreciate everything that you guys have done. Here's another comment coming in for you. Canvas brings a lot to the table in terms of day-to-day operation that extends beyond an awesome LMS. Great thinking here, ladies. So no questions, just lots of love for our friend Carissa and Kimberly.
We'll take that too.
Yeah, absolutely. We have put the link to this presentation in the chat, so all the resources are available for you. Let's make sure that we don't do this, 6 months from now. Let's do this again very soon. Chris and Kimberly, what do you say?
So yeah, it's been fun. Thanks.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Bye.